Hello, Internet. This is Sophia, the Red Angel, being joined here by Debby Dares.
Hello, all. I'm Debbie Dares. I'm an, a voice actor on Faerun and the Untold Story, and we are here to talk about alternatives to paywalls in scientific studies.
And also, I think you mentioned also alternatives to paywalls in in news as well. But our primary focus, yes, is scientific studies.
Yeah, normally when solutions for one kind of paywall are examined, other solutions for similar things can pop up. So let's see where the conversation takes us, I suppose.
That seems like the logical thing to do. Um, let's start with the reason why there are paywalls. It's a long story, but to make a long story short, whether you're running a newspaper or a scientific journal, there's costs associated with it, and somehow those costs are going to need to be covered. And
That's right. Servers take a lot of time and energy and resources to make, cool, store.
and also the software, someone has to write the software, someone has to maintain the software, someone has to operate the software. And I used to be one of those people. And we have, and people like that have living expenses that need to get paid. And basically,
Yeah.
there's a lot of costs to these things. And
Yeah.
basically, if there's to be no paywall, there has to be some other way of paying for it. And if we were to,
We all know the value of a living wage.
yes, and if they, let's see, if we can, one of the things that people would want to, and obviously Google and Facebook and the like, they'd love to have an advertisement. If not those, one of those
Mhm.
specific companies, if one like them, would love to have an advertised based system, but that would not work very well because, first of all, there's a problem that you can get demonetized on YouTube for breaking a
Yeah.
rule whose only purpose is that the advertisers might not like it.
Yeah. Does gun crime kill more children? We can't find out because Winchester Rifles won't advertise on our site.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and we so there would basically there would be lots of muddling. And anyways, even at best of times, they groups now any search engine that is used for searching a database has to have an algorithm, but things like YouTube, Google, and Facebook, they have rather opaque algorithms, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
that are designed for the interests of the corporation and not for the public interest. And that's the opposite of what we would want the search engine of a science journal to be. We'd want the we'd want an algorithm that is made for the interest of the scientific community as well as for those who are seeking not as unbiased knowledge as possible. And we would like the algorithm to be transparent and open to as much scrutiny as the papers themselves are.
That's very on the money, Sophia. Yeah. We
So,
don't want algorithms to be involved in any real and meaningful way, especially when we've seen what happens if you Google black on white crime versus crime rate, spy rate.
well,
very
algorithms are
different
inevitable.
results.
Algorithms are inevitable, but they don't have to be the opaque algorithms, which are designed for the interest of the corporations rather than for the public goods.
Yeah.
An algorithm simply is instructions how to do something. Generally, how instructions for a computer how to do something. And the other option people would look to is public funding. However, there turns out there's quite a history of various presidential administrations um, making their efforts to meddle in science. And though the Trump administration took that meddling to unprecedented levels, they did not invent the concept of government meddling in science altogether. That's been like something that like every administration in a long time has done, just not as egregiously as the Trump administration. So if they depended on public funds, they'd be far more vulnerable to this.
Absolutely. And the only real way to solve it while still using public funds would be to essentially blind the government to what they were funding, which creates a whole new set of problems. Would you like me to elaborate on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we could simply put the government behind a veil of ignorance. They don't know what they're funding, they put money into a pot and they say, go nuts! Probably about 10% of our military budget could cover all scientific journals' operations for 2 years straight. But essentially, the government can't see what it's funding. It just puts the money out there for scientific journals and only scientific journals. They're like, you need 3 studies, and then they go away. They don't look at what they're funding. They don't really check, ooh, but will this make us look bad? Will this, because it's an election year, like, is this gonna make Democrats look good? Because as a Republican, I don't want that. So they just don't fund things. Nope. Money's in a pot. Money's in a pot. They don't know what gets funded directly. They just know it's science.
Only one problem with that. Somebody has to determine which, someone has to certify you as a scientific journal so that you can access the pot.
Exactly the next problem.
And also, if there's not enough money for everything that all the scientific journals want, how do you determine how it gets divvied up? And someone has to determine that, and any journal will be worried about how if they don't appease the government, that might come back to bite them in the posterior. I'm not saying the other word for obvious reasons. It'll come to bite
You
them.
mean the donkey?
Yeah, that one. It'll come back. I explained to you why, because I
Yeah.
don't want this video to be flagged.
Yeah, YouTube, don't demonetize us this week.
Yeah, I don't think we're monetized, but
Mm.
we don't want to
But
be.
we certainly can get shadow banned and the like, yeah.
We don't want to get a strike for failing to label this as mature content.
We're so mature, you guys. We're like talking like adults and everything.
How dare you call me mature? Um, anyway, so So basic, all these awkward
So,
pauses. That's why I usually don't live stream.
yeah, so what would your ideal solution look like?
Yeah, my concern is that basically, if they'll be worried that if they put things that the government doesn't like, that could hurt them next time they're up for a renewal of their authorization. So what were you saying? What would my
I
ideal?
said, yeah, what would your ideal look like?
If I knew, we wouldn't really need this conversation.
Enough. Personally, my primary ideal is that all of the science gets funded, no matter what, and we sort out the rest later. Um, well, I know that you probably want a little bit more vetting in the process to make sure that there aren't major quacks and the like. Though I feel like with journals properly funded and no paywalls, debunkings of bad studies would happen a lot faster, and a lot more easily.
It's like people think that internet is a source of misattributed quotes, when in fact, misattributed quotes existed long before the internet. Everybody like supposedly knows that Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake," except that they're wrong.
Was never said. At
Well, it
least
basically,
it was never said by her.
yeah, and it
Not in that
most
way.
likely, from what my guess is that it most likely was from a character in a fable that is lost to the midst of time, except in the memoirs of a certain Genevan philosopher whose name just slips by me right now, and that's the only. And who mentioned the great princess, not mentioning any name,
Mhm.
saying, "Let them eat pastries," since it's difficult to
Oh,
translate whether you mean pastries or cakes, since it's translating from French to English.
yeah.
But
And not only that, but wasn't it a specific resource that they were short in the first place that like wasn't included in um certain kinds of pastries as well?
basically, the issue is that it was that um, uh, some great princess who said, "Let them eat pastries," and it probably was a character in a fable that I think it was Rousseau, but I'm not sure whether it was Rousseau.
Rousseau sounds like the philosopher that does it and does that kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah,
I would
and
not be shocked if someone in the comments goes, yeah, that's Rousseau.
yeah, but I'm not sure. Um,
How can we ever be in times like these?
let's see. I'm on Google. Let me get into this. Show it so that everyone can see what I'm doing. Rousseau, let them eat cake. And this whole thing. But basically, the point is that every, we're kind of getting off topic here. The point is,
Yeah, a
everyone
little bit.
supposedly knew that she said that, and that spread just fine without the internet. But only in the days of the internet were we able to see the debunking. My concern, though, about oh, my concern, though, about oh shoot. If there was no sensitive data exposed, I may have to. Nothing happened. My concern, though, is that My concern isn't the creationist nonsense being out there and us having and real scientists having to debunk it. My concern is that the anti-science fundamentalists will not be content until they have so many of their fake research journals. Um,
No one else can get any funding for actual science.
yes, that's my concern.
And it's a totally valid concern. And the real question does then become how we would regulate that. Personally, I think that journalism might be sort of the answer to that kind of question, if only because investigative journalists already have experience uh, sorry, acquiring information that is well hidden but still somewhat public, even if just barely.
So who's going to send these investigative journalists? Fox News or Breitbart?
I see your point. I was thinking more New York Times.
Yeah, we would like them to, but
But
without
we know
vetting,
who's really gonna. Yeah.
without vetting, there's no way to. And also,
Yeah.
once the reporters discover these problems, without vetting, how is that going to solve the problem?
That really is the question. Personally, I think that it would probably be a good idea to take the start and expand on it in such a way that we oh god, I'm circling around the word. That we have journalism be the start and possibly even like a small council of scientists be the answer. Let me know if I'm not making sense.
Then there's a question of who appoints these members of this council of
Mm.
scientists.
Yeah. They could always be elected, but then you have the problem of corruption and the problem of worrying about getting a reputation among the community and your constituents for ruling in a certain direction.
I can just imagine what quote unquote scientists would be elected by East Tennessee, or which is where I grew
Oh,
up.
yeah. We may not even want to do them by state. We may want to just do them nationally. I mean, states aren't where science is. Science is everywhere.
Yeah, but the government is in the states.
The government is in the states. The government is also in the country.
Yeah, but every attempt to get something done by popular vote has gotten nowhere. We still need to get the president
Very
elected by
matter to hell.
popular vote, and that has not succeeded.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is that we really need to revamp elections and have it just purely based on the popular vote. And now we're talking about election organization because these topics are just really that firmly connected.
Oh, I think it's not just enough to have the popular vote. I also think we need robust instant runoff voting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
Even better, just like a week in advance runoff voting.
yeah, robust instant runoff voting.
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard of instant runoff voting, also known as ranked choice voting, but I'm talking about certain
Yeah.
robust versions of it. Because like the one where you can like. I made 2 videos a long time ago describing the robust instant runoff voting concept. The,
Oh yeah, I think I saw that video, but I didn't manage to get around to it. Do you want to rehash real quick?
um, well, one thing is, unlike some versions of instant runoff voting, where you can only vote for your top 3 favorite candidates, in robust instant runoff voting, that's only how it'll be if there's a total of 4 candidates. Basically, you should be able to vote for the maximum number of candidates you should be able to specify should be one fewer than the total number of candidates, so that way your ballot won't, so that way you, assuming that you make full use of it, your ballot will not be thrown out until only one candidate remains.
That sounds absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's another thing is, many times it'll also give you the option, if at any place in your ranking you want to give equal preference to more than one candidate. And when there is more than one candidate among the surviving ones that are at the top of your list, then until all but one of those candidates is eliminated, your vote will be divided equally between all the candidates at that level. So that way, let's, yes, yeah, so basically,
sounds,
what?
I said that sounds awesome. Yeah, if only we had that. Cough.
That way people could most accurately, because like you might, because realistically, if there's going to be several candidates, there's likely to be 1 or 2 that you know in order, which one your order of preference between the 2, and then there's going to be like a cluster of several that you can't decide between, but that you like just not as much as the first 2. And then below that, there's likely to be another cluster of those that you don't really like, but aren't the worst. You know, and then
absolutely.
And then only below that are those who are the worst. And you should be able to, and wherever you feel that your conscience dictates you to put a tie, you should be able to. And this is
and it would probably also reignite engagement with third-party candidates now that we would also possibly even implement this for presidential and local elections.
Oh yes, and now
that could really change the game.
I mean, there are no third parties that currently have candidates for president that I would vote for anyways, but that's probably because the kind of third party that I would vote for.
You have to be crazy to run third party.
Yeah, you'd have to be someone who has no scruples about being a spoiler, and anyone who is at all concerned about not creating the spoiler effect, they're not going to run third party, and that party is not going to put forth the candidate. But once we have instant runoff voting, we will see parties like that put forth candidates. I expect that if instant runoff voting, if robust instant runoff voting is instituted in the next election, there will be a candidate from the Working Families Party.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yes, I am familiar with the party. One of my dad's exes voted for that party. That's how I heard about it originally.
they rarely put their own candidates because of concern of the. But we've gotten
Yeah.
far off topic, of course.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We've gone very far off topic. However, still an interesting topic.
Yeah. But the point is, with regards to the problems
With the paywall and the possible vetting via council,
yeah,
we would need to come up with something very different than a full-blown national election for council members.
yes, and we need to find a way to make sure that it's done by real scientists and not
Just quacks.
to put it mildly, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want Kem Ham on that council.
Oh, dear God, no. That sounds like the worst possible plan.
Oh, he'd try to get on.
Oh, he would. He would try to get on that council like a Republican on a child.
Oh, yeah.
I know what I said.
I can't read his mind, but I'm pretty sure he'd try to get on that council. And
Yeah.
and it and and a well-designed council is one that won't let him.
Yeah. So we'd probably also need the possibility of perhaps even needing a degree in that field, which at least means that we can keep Ken Ham out for like 4 to 8 years.
Or until
He'd have to at least
Creation
know
University,
science things.
until what Creation University gives him a degree.
Yeah, we would very much need like specific degrees to be okay, and now we've delved into elitism and people who can't afford college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that went out the window pretty fast.
I'm not trying to be believe it or not, I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly. The
No,
basically
it's important to clarify problems with systems,
try.
especially when we're trying to change systems.
I call it purification by fire, or it's actually a concept which is very much tied to the heart of science. To subject every idea to as much scrutiny as possible, and every attempt to topple the idea, to knock the idea down, so that only the ideas that survive all that are accepted.
Yep. Pretty much, yeah. Whew. But yeah, basically what we really want is an actually free market of ideas.
Yeah, the marketplace of. Yeah, we want a marketplace of ideas, but we also want.
The ideas to be good.
We want consumer protection. We want people. Not so much to make sure that nobody can say anything that's wrong, but wanted to have it so that people can realistically know the difference between things that make sense and things that are stupid.
Yeah. We want to encourage essentially the proliferation of dialectics and rigorous skepticism that isn't, well, like early 2010s kinds of skepticism. I don't know if you were involved in that community.
Which skeptic? What are you talking?
YouTube skeptic community, anyone?
I was in YouTube in the early 2010s, I think, maybe. Actually, I don't know. In the late 20 aughts and early, at the time that the 20 aughts switched over to the 2010s, I think I was on YouTube. but I'm not
I have the
100%.
feeling you weren't with the anti-SJW skeptics community.
I was
I would
not
be
even.
very surprised.
My current channel did not exist back then, but I had another channel a long time ago, which focused mostly on transgender issues.
Ah, nice. So yeah, you were busy being a decent person on YouTube.
Yeah,
New.
I like the fact that the skeptic community that I'm part of is one that is very much understands the importance of SJWs. I took the
Yeah.
I use the term justice warrior as an aspirational term long before it started being used as a term of disparagement.
Yeah. I remember when I told my mom, "Oh yeah, your Facebook friends thing is just full of anti-SJW posts." She goes, "Oh yeah, our friend is an SJW," and I'm like, "You don't know what that word's connotation is, do you?"
Yeah, that's why I want to like reclaim the word.
Yeah.
Being a being a warrior for justice is a good thing.
Yeah. Absolutely, it is. It's a shame that it's not considered that way in every other circle as well.
So the question is, how can the government fund science in a way that keeps the president, whoever the president may happen to be at that hour, from meddling, but still assures that it's real, or sometimes it's but, sometimes it's and, because sometimes the because
Yeah.
some presidents, just about every president has done some undue interference, but some presidents have been more anti-science than others.
Oh yeah. We still remember the influence on of gun lobbies on the CDC researching gun crime, and also the thing about fetuses that the Orange Man just really, really had to only have it referred to as baby. Strangest things.
You're making me think of Fat Bastard from the Austin Powers films.
Oh yeah, that bastard was great.
I ate a baby.
Beautiful. That's gonna get clipped out of context, you know that, right?
Oh shoot. I should not I should not have said that, because you're right, that will get clipped out of context. Someone will take that as an admission of me.
I'll join you. I ate a baby. I can't wait to see who clips it out of context and how, though. That's gonna be funny. Probably. I hope.
I hope that anybody whose respect I would want would know to check for the source of that clip.
I hope my mother never finds it.
What?
I hope my mother never finds it. Just imagine a phone call 20 years later from your parent being like, "So I heard you ate a baby?" There've gotta be some funny situation somewhere out there.
Um, I would not be the first or the most famous atheist, though, to
Oh no.
to fall into such a trap, just for the sake of humor. Like, I think one time when Sirius the Skeptic was commenting on a
Yeah.
classically Abby thing that I'd already previously done a response to. Um, or she began it like, "What do you think of when you hear babies?" And
Oh no. Oh no. He didn't.
yeah,
Oh, that's terrible. I love it. Oh
you
yeah.
can guess. You may not know the exact words, but you can probably guess more
Yeah.
or less what he said.
Oh yes. However, Cirrus does regularly say, ooh, ooh.
Just say what?
Yes. Do you not know about the running gags thus far?
Well, I don't see. I see some of the things that Sirius does, but not everything because there's more of it than I have
More than
time.
you can handle?
Basically, I can't. If I saw everything that is from every YouTube content creator that I follow, there'd have to be several of me doing nothing but watching YouTube.
Yeah, I hear ya. As someone who the education system failed so thoroughly, extra history was a substitute for history class. Yeah, I hear ya.
So, so yeah. So, but yeah, it was one that I'd already done a previous response to. Thing is, my last name is Shapira. Her maiden name is Shapiro. And the similarity, unfortunately, is probably not a coincidence.
Yeah. I am very lucky that somewhere along the way my last name just disappeared. I won't even have to contend with the possibility.
Yeah, but yeah, so
Yeah.
but yeah, I do have that problem. Of course, there's also some good people, but there's also some terrible people like those two siblings.
Yeah. I can only imagine the fights they had as kids, though.
Trying to compete for who's
Yeah.
more conservative and bigoted.
Well, you see, Father, Abby, in, for the sake of argument, if Abby were to have left the house 20 minutes earlier than I had left the house, would that?
Now you have to like play it back at like several times the speed to sound like a used car salesman.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine sibling fights that he definitely would deny ever having had if he is asked about it.
Yeah,
I want to see someone walk up with the balls of, hey, if your sister got pregnant, do you honestly think you wouldn't support her getting an abortion?
yeah.
Just hit him right where it hurts.
Of course, he denied that any possibility of that happening because his sister is too conservative, or as she calls it,
So very conservative.
or as she euphemistically
Classic.
refers to it as
It's it's almost cute. It's almost cute.
I think we're pathologically incapable of staying on topic.
Oh no, we both have ADHD. This was never going to be linear.
Yeah. Next time we do a show together, I should.
Next
Uh,
time we need a script.
yeah, I should. Next time we do a show together, I should get a video that I want us to tear apart together.
Ooh, fun. Evisceration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One time I had a guest on this channel a long time ago, and I got out a girl-defined video for us to tear apart.
Oh, fun. Yeah, that sounds like a really great call.
Although, one thing is, I've never yet gotten around a chance to eviscerating one of their videos on my own.
Hmm. We could also go for that horrible conservative blog that you seemed very enraged by just last week.
Which one?
BGR.
Oh yes, that one. The
That would be fun.
thing is, they have so many of their things behind paywalls, and them it's not just a matter of not being able to afford the money. Them it's, I want to give them the money.
Yeah, I also don't want to give them the money.
And it seems like all their juiciest stuff is out of their range. And even if you subscribe to them, you have to
Still, yeah.
subscribe
Speaking
either
of
as
paywalls.
you have to subscribe either as a husband or as a wife, and what content you get depends on which category you subscribe as.
Hey, Sophia, wanna be husband and wife?
Except we're both girls, so it would be wife and wife and
The husband if you'll be the wife.
yeah,
Yeah, that.
they're a terrible website. But there's also
It's such a terrible blog, and from what I understand, it might be his wife editing it, and I don't know if you've tried to read it. It is not edited well. I think her school may have subscribed to BGR.
yeah. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, why not?
We've kind of left our.
We were never going to stay on topic in the first place.
Next time we should come prepared with more stuff, with more suggestions. But the problem
yeah.
is that the problem, as I said it in the beginning, that's something that's easier said than done.
Content is hard, folks.
Okay, yeah. Oh, now it looks like they've. You can see me through the. You can see me through the OBS link on your.
I can just see you on the Discord call we're recording on.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh, this is.
Oh, that's never a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just gonna guess
Selling
that not
people
looking
as
for someone his age.
Now there was one website which was like just terrible, there was one website that was terrible, but it turned out to be a parody website. The one that used to be up there called Marry Our Daughter, which was like all about selling off really young teenage girls as wives.
I really, really hope that it was just like an FBI plant to get as many child traffickers into prison within like 20 months. It's like, let's see who posts.
The point is, according to Snopes, it wasn't a real thing. Which is good.
But disappointing.
The thing is, I wanted to like do a video tearing it apart, but when I found out that it's not a real thing, turns out there's nothing to tear apart.
Yeah. At least nothing in practice at the moment. We'll probably find the real offshoot of it somewhere. Watch out for that. Maybe tell us in the comments if that exists.
Yeah. So far, I
Yeah.
don't see anything on the
Yeah,
live chat.
we've been abandoned.
I admit this is not the most famous channel in the world. Hopefully, it'll get more
Ah, please.
attention.
You're a cool human, and that's what matters. However, in the meantime, Mom is probably gonna walk into this room in like 2 minutes, just absolutely yelling about how much food she just bought. There's a local Vietnamese sandwich place that opened near my place.
Yeah, I'll probably put back on the opening screen. I should have designed a
Mhm.
break screen, but I didn't have the time to do that. So I'll just use the opening screen as the break screen when your mom steps in.
You got it. Okay.
So, yeah.
However, in the meantime, maybe we want to just share paywall related stories in the meantime.
Oh, paywall related stories? Go ahead.
Yeah,
At least it is somewhat on topic by saying why the subject we're discussing is so important. So it's.
yeah, absolutely. It's actually pertinent. Look, guys, we're on topic. It's finally happening after all these many years.
Okay, do you want to start or should I?
I guess I'll start. So, a lot of the time, schools recommend that we use Google Scholar, which only gives you scholarly sources and all that good stuff, all the good vetted stuff. However, when you wind up venturing outside of the humanities, you suddenly walk into all of these scientific studies with these massive paywalls of $15. And when I say massive, I mean that a lot of us had less than $30 in cash to our name. So $15 was our net worth, which really kind of hampered education for its own sake. We eventually had a database released to us of scholarly sources for our school, but that disappears the minute you turn 18 and graduate. As to my knowledge, our public library doesn't operate on that system either. How about you, Sophia? What do you got?
Well, I have a YouTube channel, and my budget is basically whatever I can afford to siphon away from my personal living expenses. Not a whole lot of money to spend because I still have my living expenses, and my channel is basically on whatever I can afford. So there have been many times when I wanted to do a video on a subject, but in order to speak intelligently on that subject, I needed access to certain articles, and sometimes I got lucky, and it was an article that it was available to the public for free. But other times, I would be stopped dead in my track by a paywall.
Yeah. Which also probably hampers smaller researchers with like $200 grants. They go, oh, well, we can't vet this source without seeing it, and we have $20 left in our grant. So we can either figure out if this source is reliable, or we can go with this free shitty one and just cross our fingers and hope our professor doesn't see what we've done. Like, you've got to imagine college researchers have definitely had this problem as well, seeing as how they're famous for living off ramen.
But basically, a well-funded channel can can access these paywalls, can get through these paywalls, while a channel that's run on whatever the creator can afford to siphon away from their personal expenses generally can't afford to.
Yeah, which is why you guys should donate to Sophia's Ko-fi.
Yep, which is,
Always do be plugging.
yeah, because if you like this channel now, just imagine what I'll be able to do with it if I don't have to limit its budget to what I can siphon away. Do you have it?
Feed the YouTubers.
Yes. Do you have any site that you would like to, anything that you would like to plug, by the way?
I think I already did that at the start, but I also stream on Twitch with my real face. I primarily do games on my Twitch channel, still under Debby Dares. And I also am a voice actor on Faerun, The Untold Story, initially Party 2 and transitioning to Party 1. We're gearing up for a big arc next time round, so stick around for that. And maybe, just maybe. No, that's it, just maybe.
And my cat's staring at me saying, like, what's going on?
Ah, yes. My cat has decided that since I won't give her attention, my mother will. Speaking of which, I will return in a moment.
So should I switch to the, so, should I switch to the break screen?
Yeah, I'm fast about this stuff.
Yeah, I began setting up a break scene, but
Thanks for that, by the way.
yeah, I hope nobody went away thinking that there's going to be 5 minutes, and then I click
5 minutes. Yeah.
because the
It
countdown's.
looks like, yeah. It looks like we are our only viewer, so we should be fine.
Yeah, basically, I took up my iPad, turned the volume down all the way, and started watching this stream because due to the way I'm broadcasting, since I was had trouble getting the other interface working,
Yeah.
due to the way I'm
Meanwhile, I'm here like, I can switch tabs. Hee hee, I'm on a computer.
since I was unable to get the other stream. These pauses are the reason why I usually do not why I do not live stream unless I'm like either collaborating or interviewing or doing something like that.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm actually
Yeah.
semi-verbal autistic, so
Understandable. Yeah.
so these awkward pauses, that's the reason why I do not do, it's one of the reasons why I do not do live, why I usually do only pre-recorded but when I'm doing either an interview or a collaboration,
Yeah.
I have no choice but to show up, warts and all.
Yeah. And your warts are still pretty.
Thanks.
Hee. But yeah. Generally speaking, I think we might be done here for tonight. And maybe, just maybe, we can post a part 2 of this, in the coming weeks.
After we've had more time to to bring material
Yeah,
to at least be somewhere in the
to
same
think about it. Yeah,
and be
to
somewhere in
think
the
about
same
it, to debate things. Maybe it might even be pre-recorded if we want to.
or to be just in the same galaxy as on topic.
That might be useful, yeah.
Having material already just
Hmm.
so anyways, like, share, subscribe, and you
Click
know,
that bell icon.
yeah, hit that bell icon and check out Debby Dares' channel on Twitch. I haven't yet put it in the YouTube video description area, but I'll try to add that sometime within the next day to the.
Yep.
So,
And I'm going to put some fresh content out there in the morning. Um, I'm thinking Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines again.
sounds interesting. So,
Yeah.
anything else to add?
No, stop on by, click bell, ring subscribe button, all that good stuff.
And until next
Stay.
time, see ya.
Ooh, that didn't flash me.
Okay.